Hey guys, MichaelBtheGameGenie here, and wouldn't you know it, Arcade1Up have pretty much pulled off the impossible, releasing a game long thought to be dead and that fans thought there was no way they were ever going to release. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has been freed, and we'll tell you more about it right after this. That's right guys, Arcade1Up posted the first ever episode of That 1Up Show this morning with Liv and Justin Wong, and we all promised a pretty big announcement, and I'm happy to say we did not disappoint as Arcade1Up announced Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and for the first time in a very long time, people can pick up a copy of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and enjoy it for themselves. Before we get started though, I want to say thank you so very much for checking out the video, guys. I always appreciate the support, and if this is your very first time to the channel, you like what you see, please go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and all that YouTube stuff. So for those of you guys that tuned in live to Arcade1Up's first official episode of That 1Up Show earlier today, directly from EVO, the Fighting Championships, the big news was free NBC. The hashtag is finally no longer necessary because the hashtag is now freed MVC2, and that's because of Arcade1Up. They have done the impossible here, got this title out of licensing limbo, and have made a 3/4 scale home arcade machine for you guys all to enjoy and brought back to life Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Congratulations on the debut of the show. I thought Liv and Justin Wong were a dynamic duo. I thought the show was fantastic, and more than anything else, congratulations on the announcement of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. What a friggin' accomplishment for you guys to have pulled off. That's right, guys. The wait is officially over. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is here, and coming to Arcade1Up, we're going to get 8 classic Marvel Capcom style games. Everything from the Marvel vs. Capcom and X-Men vs. Street Fighter cabinets in one compilation. I think it's safe to say that Arcade1Up are all in on Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at this point, because if you go over to the website now, this is on the main page. You click on it and the exact same video, well, a little bit different, comes up and plays a new video. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 plays directly on the website. They're really pumped about it. It's a huge deal. It's completely taken over the website. But if you go into the game page itself, we've got Marvel vs. Capcom 2 arcade game. Pre-order on 9/8 and get it first with free shipping to the contiguous US. I'm from Canada, so I don't know what that means, and I thought it used to be free shipping to the continental US. I don't know what contiguous means. Maybe I'm uneducated, but give me a break, guys. I'm Canadian. So if you head over there now, you can find out everything. It's going to have online co-op. It lists the games, all 8, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men Children of the Atom, X-Men Mutant Apocalypse, and Marvel Superheroes War of the Gym. So unfortunately, we have those 2 console games back. And the only other one that I'm really disappointed isn't going to come on this cabinet is I was hoping this is exactly what this cabinet would be. It would be essentially a Marvel Legacy cabinet, but it would also include the Punisher. But as we heard, John D told us ahead of time, looks like we might not actually get the Punisher on an Arcade1Up cabinet again, which is absolutely heartbreaking, but I mean, it is what it is. You get the best of both worlds, so if you had the X-Men vs. Street Fighter, or if you had the Marvel vs. Capcom cabinet, now this basically consolidates both in a beautiful package. It's got great side art, of course, not necessarily arcade authentic, but very good looking. Most of these Capcom cabs were conversion cabs in the first place. If you take a look directly at the front of the cabinet, it's got the accurate marquee, which looks great. Control panel, which I'm getting a lot of feedback in the community people aren't super happy with, but it is arcade authentic with what you would see on a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet. So, I mean, you take what you can get. I personally think the cabinet looks great. I know a lot of other people are also going to say, oh, well, it's in that midway shape. Sure, it looks like a midway shape, but realistically, this is more so just Arcade1Up's legacy or generic arcade design in this wave. And I've got to say, personally, this looks more like a real arcade cabinet than some of the other models they had out before this. So good job, Arcade1Up. Now, a lot of the questions come down to, is this going to be any good? That leads to, do the games play well? Do they work online? How's the emulation? And that's where this guy, Justin Wong, comes into play. Justin Wong, one of the most notorious fighting game players of all time, who works with, I don't know if it's QA, quality assurance, with Arcade1Up. He's working on the games, making sure it's lag-free, making sure it plays properly. For anybody worried about the quality of the gameplay on Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I think you can rest assured that Justin Wong is putting his name on this product and won't let it go out the door without it performing very, very well. Yeah, and when I said Arcade1Up went all in on Marvel vs. Capcom 2, it's true. They've got another page up here. Pre-order start 9/8. We think the price point's going to be $5.99. There's your 8 games again. They've got some gameplay for you to take a look at. 56 characters. All the characters are unlocked, ready for battle. So there's no messing around with getting that to work. We're going to have scan lines, other filter options. This looks like it's going to be an awesome cabinet. And the cherry on top, of course, it's going to have Wi-Fi play, as most of the cabinets do now going forward. So not only can you play all these great Marvel versus Street Fighter, Marvel versus Capcom games that we had on the first 2 cabinets in Wi-Fi like before, and I do think they're going to be cross-play enabled, so you can go play with people who have the older cabinets. You can also now play Marvel versus Capcom 2 that way as well. So huge news coming out of Arcade1Up today. Such a good day for fans of the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise. Finally, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 exists again, and we have Arcade1Up to thank for it. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of the news today? The big announcement coming out of EVO, the Fighting Game Championship. Of course it was going to be a fighting game. I'm sure a lot of you thought you were going to be disappointed. When the GameFly leaks originally came up, you thought Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was in fact Marvel vs. Capcom II, or some kind of Marvel vs. Capcom or Marvel Legacy unit. No one actually believed that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was feasible, but Arcade1Up showed up at this event, laid the gauntlet down, and proved they had what it took to make it happen. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is out now. Let me know if you're excited. Let me know if this is a cabinet you're going to pick up. Let me know if you have a previous Marvel vs. Capcom or X-Men vs. Street Fighter cab, and if that's going to say goodbye to the game room to make way for this one. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. What an exciting day. Hey, we even had some NFL Blitz news this morning, too. Big day for Arcade1Up. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful evening. This is Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'll talk to you next time.